Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I'm your host, Hery Acosta. Welcome back to another episode. Happy Tuesday. It's a little bit to talk about. I publish every Monday through Friday. Like and subscribe for more of this content. Let's get straight into it. Let's start with TJ McConnell. Now, the only reason I'm talking about this is because the Rockets did just lose Fred VanVleet for the whole season, and that's kind of messed up. He tore his ACL before training camp, which just sucks. Feel for the Rockets. They just traded for Kevin Durant. They traded Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green, and a bunch of other assets in the 17 trade, which is actually the biggest trade of all time. But there's a mock trade that sends McConnell to the Rockets for Jayshawn Tate, Clint Capella, and some draft capital. Now, I personally don't want that. I like McConnell where he is. I like McConnell a lot, but if the Rockets did end up putting a little bit more in that trade, that could actually happen. Now, I don't want it to, and I don't think the Pacers want to get rid of McConnell whatsoever. But it was just something interesting to talk about, just because this is a mock trade. This is something that is out there. And especially with that injury, they will be looking for a starting point guard. Now, they could obviously put Reed Shepherd in there, but he's still unproven. Still a lot that he's got to really dominate and learn. But they would probably be looking for a veteran point guard, and McConnell would be one of those veteran point guards they would look at. So I'll definitely monitor that situation closely. I don't think that they're going to fully go for McConnell, or that there's even going to be a potential trade there, because I don't think the Pacers are actually going to want to get rid of him. Now, second, I kind of just want to talk about, I not put overview, but more like a season preview, because obviously the season hasn't happened yet. But what's there to say that the Pacers can't be the same team that they were last year? Now, obviously, the main reason people would say that is because we don't have Haliburton and we don't have Miles Turner. But what we do have is that same team chemistry with the same guys that are still there. Now, obviously, we didn't bring back Thomas Bryant. We didn't bring back James Johnson. But everyone else outside of those four players that I named is back on the team. Added Jay Huff. There's still a few players we could add with right before training camp to see if they, become a role player or anything. And then obviously we got the two rookies. Now, building the chemistry around just having to really fit in three more guys is not really a big issue. The Pacers can pretty much make it so everyone is involved at all times. Now, whether you're on the bench, whether you're in the game, whether you're a reserve, anything, even from home, all these players have their jobs, have their roles, and need to know how to play them. I genuinely think that the Pacers could have another good season. Now, making to the finals will be a lot harder than last year because we don't have Haliburton, we don't have our 10-year veteran center. So everything just has to kind of flow smooth if we really want to make this season not an L. So if we want to make this season a W, we really just got to make sure that everyone's focused on what they need to do and just play your game right, play your game the best you can. Got some all-star seasons intact for a few players between Nembhard and Mathurin. Hopefully those two can really step up even more than they have before, and they've both stepped up big over the last few years. So that's definitely something to look at. Now, there's not really a lot of news going on. If this is one of the big stories that I got to talk about, it's Haliburton. We all know Haliburton's a big WWE guy, and he gifted his shoes to Cody Rhodes. Now, I used to watch wrestling when I was younger. Not really anymore. I'll watch the Royal Rumble and sometimes WrestleMania, just because those were always my two favorite events. But I haven't really been following too much of the storylines recently. It's been years since I really fully was into those storylines. But Haliburton, we know how big into wrestling he is. We know that at halftime he'll get on his phone for 1 minute and just check any wrestling news. So that's a diehard fan right there, and we've seen him on wrestling TV multiple times. Obviously, WrestlePalooza was here not too long ago, just a few days ago, and there was a lot of people in attendance. Wrestling is big in Indy. I've been to one event, all the way back in, I think it was 2017. It was a SmackDown in 2017. So that was the only time I've ever been to a WWE event. That was the Bray Wyatt was actually the WWE Championship at that time. He was beefing with Randy Orton, and that was a really fun storyline. Rest in peace to Bray Wyatt. But I think it's just cool that Haliburton is so close to some of these wrestlers, and they're all just friends, and especially a guy like Cody Rhodes who's been dominating in WWE recently. Obviously, we know it's storylines and stuff, and a lot of it is scripted, but still, Cody's been one of the more dominant figures in wrestling for the past few years, ever since he came back, and it's just cool to see. Now, last but not least, I've been kind of talking about other teams, other sports, to kind of end these episodes, so I'm gonna do it. Fever play today, game 2 against the Aces. Everyone needs to. We all gotta celebrate our team for making it this far so far. This team, with all the injuries that we have, we weren't supposed to get this far, especially, winning in the first round, winning game 1. But just with the way that Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard, Lexi Hole, Odyssey Sims, the way everyone's playing right now, this team legitimately looks like a contender right now. And obviously we're top 4 in the league right now because we're in the semifinals. But I would have thought that we'd be further than the Liberty. We'd be further than Storm. 2 teams that genuinely could have made it to the finals. And just the way that the team has kind of designed itself over the last few months, without Caitlin Clark, without Sydney Colson, without Sophie Cunningham, with 3 players that were legit star player and then the two very popular big rotational pieces, and also Ari McDonald. We lost a lot of good players this season, but every player that needed to step up has stepped up, and I'm hoping that this game goes well. I'm going to be watching, and just everything can keep falling into place for the Fever, and we're just hoping that this could end a little differently than the Pacers season did last year. Hoping that we could end with another Fever banner in Gamebridge. It'll be the second one. They went back in 2012 with Tamika Catchings. Stephanie White was an assistant coach on that team, so it'd be great if she won this one as a coach. I think she's done a heck of a job as a leader. Now, there's been obviously every coach has their ups and downs, but I think this has been a very good season for her, and I can't wait to see her keep coaching this team. But as always, I am your host, Hery Acosta. This is Pacers Daily. Boom, baby, and go Sirs.